request.
All right, perfect. All right, hey everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just want to first ask, how many people here know Bridge Interactive? Has anybody used Bridge before? Sometimes I go into offices that have used it in the past. All right, cool. Then we're all learning from scratch. This is going to be awesome. So before I go through everything, I know that looks like a glamour shot of me, and it doesn't even look like me, but I promise that's what I looked like 2 weeks ago before I got my hair done. I look totally different now. But I wanted to introduce myself because we're going to be together for the next 45 minutes, depending on how many questions you guys have and things like that. But my name is Megan. Hey, everybody. I am a real estate broker myself. I'm licensed in 3 states. I still have an active real estate team. But a majority of my time has been in the real estate tech and startup space. So I had my own company called Rent back in the day. Who here has been in the business over 10 years? Anybody? Okay, there's my survivors right here. Okay, so remember when we had that really fun time about like 10 years ago when the market shifted? Well, I shifted with it. I had my own company called Rent. It's 600 agents on my team across the country. I then sold that company and went to a really small startup at the time called Dotloop. Anybody here? Dotloop? Okay, cool. So I was with Dotloop for 5.5 years, and I ran all their trainings and did all the onboarding. So very happy to have my Keller Williams family with me today. And now I'm with Bridge Interactive. I've been with Bridge for probably 8-9 months, but I'm managing all their trainings, all the launches, and kind of scaling that growth. So I love what I do. So if you guys do have questions about real estate, technology, Dotloop, anything, come and chat with me. Happy to have those combos. But first I'm going to talk about why you guys are here in the first place, what value this is going to bring to you as a professional in this industry. Bridge is going to save you time, first and foremost, because you're going to be able to create a listing in one place and it'll go to both MLSs. And then you're also going to create better listings. And what I mean by that is you're allowed to have as many high-res photos as you want, unlimited number, unlimited size, and you will never have to resize a photo again. So we'll go through that. Also, it's a really cool, easy, slick interface, and our customer support is the best because they're Dotloop support, right? So we took the best of the best from Dotloop, and they actually do our support in Cincinnati, where I'm from. So I like to pause on this slide. You guys get your phones out, take a picture, write it down, put it in your phone, whatever you need to do. I will also show you where to find this in the product. And this is also a really nice time for me to take a drink of my water. We are open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Please, please, please call us. If anything takes you longer than 2 minutes to figure out, call us, because we can log into your Bridge account, log into your FMLS, Georgia MLS, and find out what's going on and really help you through that. Anytime you introduce a new technology to your life and to your workflow, you're going to have questions at the beginning. So when I say call us all the time, blow us up, we really like to hear from you guys. And then I'll show you some cool things that you can actually find on the support site here in a little bit. Right. The way I like to do my training is I like to use PowerPoint slides and then go directly into the product and show you. So I'm going to show you what I'm about to show you on this slide, and then I'm going to go show you, and then I'm going to come back to the slide to see if anybody has questions or if I talk too fast and I missed anything. But that's the best point to ask those questions. Usually people get really excited when I get to the photo section. They raise their hand like, during the demo. I'll probably cover it, I promise, and then I'll come back and then we can go through the questions and I can figure that out for you. Okay, so today, overview of the training. I'm going to show you first and foremost how to set up your account. I'm going to go through the site navigation, how to input a listing, the really cool stuff that you can do with photos. It's when everybody gets real excited because it's really awesome. How to publish, and then also neat things that you guys can do directly from your cell phone, from your mobile device. All right. So first and foremost, account setup. Does this look familiar to everybody here? You guys are usually logging in through FMLS in this area, I'm assuming, versus Georgia MLS? Okay, cool. So when you set up your account, you're going to go to FMLS, log in, Then under products, you're gonna see Bridge listing input. See this right here. When you click there, it's gonna drop you into your dashboard for Bridge. You're gonna go to connections. That's the first place you go. You're gonna click Georgia MLS, and it's gonna validate your credentials there. Once you do this one time, you never have to do this again. Then you're linked every time you create a listing, it's going to both places, right? And then I'm gonna show you what that looks like here in a second when we get through the site navigation.
If it's
Yep.
bringing me up to Bridge Internet, it's a different screen than the two boxes you were just talking about.
If so, then I'm also here to troubleshoot, so I've got everything. I just want to make sure that they whitelisted your entire office and things like that too. Or, I will say with that, I did a training at Georgia MLS, and there was a mass email that went out for it, and if anybody clicked that email, you actually logged in through Georgia MLS. So if you can't get in through FMLS, go to Georgia MLS, and on the right-hand side, about halfway down, it says important links. You'll see Bridge listing input. Click there and then add your FMLS. If for some reason, that's just...
Yeah, he's not logging.
Okay.
It didn't pick him up.
I'll be able to... I promise you guys that I will stay here and make sure everybody is totally set up by the end of the training. But I would say, I feel like it's kind of troubleshooting 101 when you like turn it off, turn it back on, right? But the thing for me would be clear your cookies. Go and try to log in through Georgia MLS versus FMLS and see if that works first. And then if not, we can troubleshoot. Or remember, longer than 2 minutes, what are you gonna do? I'll support. Yep.
So you log in once and that's it?
Yep, and every time that you access Bridge, you're gonna access that through FMLS or Georgia MLS.
Okay.
So there's not like a direct login or an app or anything like that. That's how we validate your credentials and make sure that you're allowed to list properties.
So when you go for your adding your listing, are you still going to the same place, or you have to now go to the Bridge?
You're gonna wanna go to Bridge. So you're gonna go log into FMLS, click Bridge, because that way when you fill out your information, it's gonna like save you probably like 50% of the time, if not 75% of the time, and then it'll go to both.
So I have here is like they said you connect it to FMLS and the GMLS, so I'm all set up, right?
No, dial. That's what she just went over.
Yeah, and I'll show you connections right now, because you guys are Keller Williams, so you're already logging in and doing things. I already know. I did this before at a training, and some guy created a listing in like 5 minutes in the back of the class. It was just like, hey, I just did a listing that usually takes me an hour and a half. It took me 5 minutes. But not saying I prefer certain brands, but I'm just saying some are more tech forward. You guys being one of them. So I'm going to show you connections, then I'm going to show you account profile. That would be the next place that I would go after I initially log in. I'm going to show you my listings, how you can see that in a grid view versus list view, how to sort, filter, and search for listings. Then I'm going to do a shout out to the Help Center so you guys can see all the great things that you can find online. 100% of the training I'm doing today is in video content on our support site. So if you forget what I say about mobile, you can go and I have my entire training like kind of out in 5-minute segments. So you can just watch that piece. And then we're going to talk through importing listings. So importing what listings are currently active on the MLS if you want to do so. And then from here on out, you're going to create all new listings using Bridge because it's going to make your list so much better.
So when you have edits, you'll just have to go to one place.
Yep. And it's even cooler than that. You guys will start liking me. Like I said, photos is kind of where you start loving me, but you'll like me at least on saving time on the listings. Okay, so let's pretend I went to FMLS. I hit Products, Bridge. It's going to drop me into a screen that looks like this. Except I'm not going to have listings yet because I haven't created it. Or you guys won't, right? The next place I would go is Connections, right here. And see how I have Best MLS and Core MLS, and then I have a broker backend. If you guys logged in through FMLS, you're going to have FMLS up here, and then you're going to have Georgia MLS right here. Other connections found. You will click Georgia MLS, it'll ask you your login credentials, and Georgia MLS will be brought to the top, and then you never have to do this again. That's how you connect. If for some reason, like I said, you're having an error, go to Georgia MLS first and try it the back way, but you should be fine. And if you have any more errors by the end of the training, just let me know and I'll get you set up for sure.
Megan?
Yep.
Is there any plans to be able to connect us directly to Cal Williams?
You guys could right now. It would be a corporate other discussion. So there's an API that pulls data out and it can go to any kind of broker backend. Really, you can pull this data and put it to a CRM. You can do it whatever you want with it. Yep. All right. After you connect, you don't have to do it again. The next stop, I would go upper right, CB. You're gonna have the first initial of your name. That's your profile. You can switch out your picture, change the way that your name shows up. FMLS sometimes pull your name through like all caps. And if that feels like it's shouting at you every day, you can make that change. And since I'm in the upper right, I'm going to show you Help Center. So if you did not take a picture, write that number down, add it to your phone, the contact information is here. But a couple things that I like to just point out while I'm in the Help Center. I spoke about the training videos. That's right here. You can also search any article, any question that's ever been asked of Bridge is going to be found on the support site. The other thing I like to point out is new enhancements. We know Bridge is great, it's awesome, it's going to save you time, but wouldn't it be better if when I created information it spoke to my documents as well? So I didn't have to retype the property address 15 times. That's already on the pipeline, and that's coming out very soon, and it will just pull through directly. Or wouldn't it be great with, not only can I do high quality images, but would it be nice if I had video content? That's on a pipeline as well. 100% based on your feedback. So when I say call, email us all the time, please, please, please do so, because the product gets better because of your feedback. So every time you call in and say, wouldn't it be great if, we actually add that as a feature request and it goes directly to our development team. And the more that we hear that feature request, the sooner it comes out. So when those come out, if you want to follow it, if you hover over that, you can hit follow. We'll Facebook, tweet you, email you, however you like to be communicated with. I'm going to show you just a couple more things on the support site before I go back to Bridge. The other thing is dual entry form. These forms here mirror exactly what you do when you input your listing. So we would love if everybody got away from paper, right? But we're in real estate. It's not happening anytime soon, but I hope one day I see that. All these forms mirror what you type in. That way, if you did take paper to a listing, you write down all the information and you go back in to type it in. You're not trying to look for school districts and all this stuff back and forth. It's going to look exactly like what you see when you input it. And of course, we added them to Dotloop. So if you wanted to just add those templates, they're already templated for you guys in Dotloop.
We'll add it to our listing.
The template,
folder,
yeah. Yeah. All right. One other thing I'll just point out, checklist for importing. Importing is not hard. It's just a little bit different, and somebody here earlier was trying to import and push it back out to Georgia MLS, since you guys are kind of used to Swift. This is a step-by-step guide. Not that it's hard, but I feel like the first time you do something new, maybe it's nice to have the steps. So if you guys do want to have this pulled open, if you are importing, you can do that as well. All right, going back to my dashboard. Right now I'm in my listings section. So these are all the listings that I have, whether they're active on the MLS or I'm not finished with them yet or even rejected. Right now I'm seeing this in the grid view, so big pictures. I can switch to list view. I feel like this is a very left side, right side brain type of thing. It depends if you want the big pictures, more details. You can see the details a little bit easier in this view. Like the price, last time it was updated, and anybody collaborating on this listing. So all these bubbles are people that I'm working with on this listing to input it, whether it be listing agent, co-listing agent, admin, or even photographer. Which, not to jump ahead of myself, but you guys will like me. I told you about photos. I'll keep it more visually appealing for the training. Right now it's sorted by most recent. It's what makes the most sense because it's what you touched last, so that's probably what you're going to go back to. But you can change the sorting. You can also filter. So if I wanted to filter by only accepted, and accepted does not mean like accepted contract. It means it's accepted by the MLS in either an active or pending state. I could do that, or if I wanted to go to anything that I still need to work on, like unfinished, maybe I need to add photos before I push that to the MLS, or rejected. You guys should not get rejected statuses often at all. I'll show you how to troubleshoot just in case you have them. But we know at Bridge all of the rules of your MLS. So we will yell at you before you make a mistake. So you won't get rejected and possibly get a fine. But if you like hide your cell phone number in a photo caption, we're not gonna find that, right? So I'll show you just in case you get rejected. And then also, you can also search just by the property address or the MLS number, and it'll come up in the dynamic search there. All right, now I'm gonna talk through importing listings. So I actually like to kind of pause for another drink of water, but also just because I feel like this is how you guys run your business. When you import a listing, if I had, I would say 10 listings, I would probably import for all the benefits that I'm gonna go through and show you guys. But if I had 100, I would probably let them live out their life the way that things have always happened and then create new listings from here on out using Bridge. Reason why is when you import from FMLS, say I'm really excited, my seller, we haven't sold the property and we're gonna do a price reduction finally of $50,000. If I import that listing and push it back out with that change, it'll pull through all the data fields, but the thing that it won't pull through is photos. That's by design because we'd rather have the high-res photos in Bridge versus if you pull in the pixelated crunch down. But if you do a price reduction and you push it out without having photos in Bridge, you're gonna override the photos in FMLS and Georgia MLS, and that's not gonna do yourself, the brokerage, or the seller any good. So everybody get that?
Can you go over that again?
Yep, that's why I paused for the water too. But it's, if you import, if I put the old MLS, or the current MLS number in, if it's just an FMLS, it'll pull those data fields and I can add Georgia, and Georgia might ask for 5 more things, but at least I don't have to do everything. Then I can push it out, but if there's not photos in Bridge, it's gonna override the photos in FMLS if you already put those photos there. Or if it was active in both places.
When you say override, that's what's tripping me.
Okay.
Does that mean to wipe them out?
Yep, that means 0 photos. 0 photos.
Okay, that's what I wanted you to spell out.
Mhm.
In either or just in Georgia MLS?
Both. Reason being, we did this by design because we want you to have the high-res photos. Because if you've ever done, like I do listings, a lot of rentals, obviously, because of my previous company. If I then, like my listing got rented and I paid all this money to get high-res photos, but then the zip file isn't active anymore, right, of the photos, then I'm going to the old listing on MLS and I download it and then they're all packed, like, it's terrible looking, right, and the consumer doesn't want that. So it's by design to have the high-res photos in Bridge so you have the best quality possible. That's why I'm saying some people just don't import. They say, okay, I know what that function does, cool. I'm just gonna create new listings from scratch. I'm gonna let the listings I already have active just live out their life.
There's really no advantage to doing existing because then you lose.
There's a lot, like, and I'll show you here in a minute. Like, if I had the high-res photos on my computer, for all my listings, I would add all the high-res photos because then the consumer experience is better when they see the property online because it's high-res photos versus non. Also, when we go over mobile, if I sell a house over the weekend and I want to change it to pending from my cell phone, then I can do that. So that's helpful on, time-saving time. But versus having to go to the office and make it pending, and that way I don't have to tell 5 other agents they can't show the property. It's pending, well, it's not on the MLS, but you're messing up my showing schedule, right? So that's why I pause, because I feel like it's your business and you decide if you let them live their life.
So I have a listing that in a month is going to be, it's going to be totally different because it'll be vacant then and it'll be repainted, et cetera, et cetera. I can start over again.
I would definitely add the new photos here, and then that way when it does hit the market, it looks brand new. like reduce it for $1, right?
How high res do they need to be?
As big as you want.
What do you consider high res? What point is high res versus low?
I mean, I really feel that our cell phones take really awesome pictures at this point. I know I look better with a filter from Snapchat, but you know, the flowers are in my head. But there is not a phone or a camera that you can buy today that takes crappy enough photos to go to the MLS. That's the reality, is we have to always resize them down. So high res is anything better than like a flip phone, right? So get the best that you can. And like I said, once the video content comes, it's gonna be really awesome, because then we can have full drone videos versus them clicking like a hyperlink to a VHD or visual tour type of thing. It would all be housed in one place for the consumer, which I think is a better experience, right? Cool. All right, so everybody understand, if you import a listing, you'll put in that MLS number, it'll pull all the data through, but not the photos, and then you can push it back to one or both. Your decision whether you want to do that. I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll go into new listings. So if I hit import listing, put the MLS number in, it's going to pull through all that data field. It'll say, do you also have a Georgia MLS number? You can add that if it's on both. Or you could just add that connection, and then you're going to have, you know, 5 more, 10 more fields, whatever it is for Georgia, and push it out. But make sure you have the photos there. But from here on out, you're going to want to create all your new listings from scratch using Bridge. So you can create a listing, and I'm going to probably have to use this, but you can create a new listing by address, and it's going to pull through some of the tax information and auto-populate some of those fields to make it a little bit faster, right? Or you could put the tax ID, or you can put in an old MLS number. So I'm not saying importing from a listing that's already active, but say since I was in rentals, I'm going to relist a property, and this time I'm going to put the old MLS number that I had, and it's going to pull through all those 107 fields for me and save me a whole lot of time. But I got to make sure I update it, because now it's not a rental, it's for sale. Question you're going to think of, whether you're thinking of it right now or down the road, so I like to address it right now. Can you create a new listing by an old MLS number from a different brokerage? Yes.
Yeah.
Don't be a jerk. That is my message, is nobody wants to lose their listing to another listing agent. They definitely don't want you to plagiarize all their marketing comments. Make sure you take care of that. I'm trying to scare you guys as much as possible. And agent remarks, I've had somebody do that, create new listing by old MLS number of a different broker, and it had a $5,000 selling bonus. Guess who had to pay that? Right? And school districts change, even rooms. It might have been a 4-bedroom and then they remove a wall. Just be careful. But I would start by using the address until you get really comfortable with it, and then maybe you will advance. But if I was an admin and I was doing 10 listings a day, 20 listings a day, I would definitely create a new listing by old MLS number and then know which fields to double check and make sure I'm not a jerk and that I'm accurate, right? So from there, then
when you do that, you're not going to get the photos anyway.
You're not getting the photos anyway,
Right,
and that
so
was kind
that
of
plagiarism is.
that was by design. That kind of fed into why we didn't have the photos pull through. That was one reason. The other reason is the photos will look not so good if they're pixelated like that. But exactly. So at least you're not getting the photo issue. But don't plagiarize their comments either. All right. If I'm an admin, I can drop down and see all the agents within my office. Add them as an agent. I can quickly add co-listing agents. There's a progress bar across the top. I'll show you guys percentage of the required fields as you go through the segments. It'll give you a nice green check mark to know that you completed everything. And then there's also a really nice thing called hints technology, and it's easier to really show than to speak to. But basically it is a smart AI, artificial intelligence, knowing what I'm doing when I create a listing and making smart choices for me. So if I create a listing in a certain zip code and it's Kenton County Schools for FMLS, but it's East Kenton County Schools for Georgia MLS, it'll know what I typically choose and make that choice for me to speed up my data input process. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. Upper right, new listing. And with new listing, I do this, I actually put my personal property, I'm probably not really secure to do that, but I put where I live, just to show you guys, one, that you're not going to hurt Bridge, so go play with it, and pretend list your property, unless you hit publish twice, you're not going to hurt anything. Also, that's my property, so if anybody wants to send me flowers, right to that address.
You actually live on Main Street.
I really do. I actually do. I've lived on 2 different main streets, actually. So yeah, I put my own personal property in there for the flowers, and then I can check up top if I'm my tax record and pull through some of those data fields, or I could do a blank listing. I don't think that you guys are going to do blank listings very often because you want some of those fields filled out. But say you're doing like new construction and it's pulling through something kind of wonky, then I would say that's the only time I would use it. If I click my property address, now I can say it's a residential detached. This is grayed out because I just have an agent account. If I was an admin, I'd have a drop down of every agent within my office. Co-listing agent, since I always list with another agent because I'm on the road, I can just start typing in their name, it'll pull through their license number, and then where I'm publishing to. Like I said, globally, it's all added, and I never have to do it again, but on an individual listing, maybe you don't put your rentals on one site versus the other, I don't know, or commercial, you can uncheck at that point. When I hit create listing, behind the scenes, it's going to the tax record and saying what data field's already there. The Wi-Fi is a little slow today, but that's fine. So you got it. So you can see 12% of the required fields, or 15 of the 123 fields that I have to fill out, are pulled through. If I used an old MLS number, it'd be all there, right? All right, I'm not going to list my property today, and really the big reason is because I want to show you guys how easy it is to clean up your dashboard. So if I hit close, and when I say pretend list your property, do it, because I just hover over this and I see that garbage can, hit that and you can delete it. So unless I have everything filled out 100% and I hit publish twice, it's not going to hurt anything. So go play with this before you listing actual properties.
So then when you go to search your listings, do you go to Bridge or do you go to FMLS?
What's the reason why you want to search them? For what reason?
Just
to update or
to update or
yeah, I would go to Bridge personally, and then I would just say I would just do a search by.
If you want to edit or something like that.
Yeah, I would always go to Bridge, because once you hit publish back out, then it overrides. So say you do a listing and then instead of like handing the seller that whole form and look at it, sometimes it's nicer to just see it. And then they say, oh, well, you forgot to say that there's a half bath or whatever. You can just make that change and then republish it out through here. All right, cool. I'm going to go to a listing that's further along actually in your state. This one is much further along. Let me see. Which one? All right, there we go. This one is 97% complete. So 107 of the 110 fields are filled out for me. So you can see all the green check marks along this way because it's filled out. But you can see the status is 0 of the 3 fields. So if I go to status and I change this to active, what it'll do is say active, active, active. And then you see that blue dot right there? That's that Hence technology that I spoke to. So anytime that I usually say active and FMLS, I could have a different choice, either active or back on the market, but since I always use active, it's gonna make that choice for me and give me a little blue dot to let me know that I can always override it, but if I override it too often, then it's gonna say that's what Megan usually likes to do when she creates a listing and make that choice for me. So it's a lot of little things, but when you're filling out 111 fields, it's a lot. And you can also see now on listing basics, it says 13 out of 14 because since it's active, now I have to put an expiration date. So I can click to this area, put list date is today, it automatically chose. I can put expiration date, I can type this in, I can hit the calendar if I'm more visual, Or if I always list my properties for 6 months, I can click plus 180 days. And I'll just make that choice. Woo! I'm glad you guys are like the first people that really like that. I like that one so much. So yeah, it's like, for me, I like a lot of little efficiencies. I don't like to click too many times or retype information, but that's just me. So now you can see that, but then I told you that we know the business rules of both MLSs, and if you make a mistake, we're gonna yell at you. So say I went here for expiration date and I actually typed it in and I put 2018, it's gonna turn red and I can't move forward. So I can't publish. And that goes throughout everything, even like remarks right here. Say I was getting really descriptive one night on this property and I put too much information. If I try to move on, it's gonna turn red too. It's gonna say that you're over your characters. Another cool thing I like to show, property features. Do you see how much information is here that you guys probably never ever fill out? Like how often do you list a property with a tennis court? Probably not that often, right? You don't want to see all that, but if you want to, you can, but you want to be able to tab through this and do only the required fields. If I went to my filter and said, I want to filter by required fields, look at property features just like this big now, right? And then if you do have a tennis court, just uncheck that and add it back in, right? But that way you at least make sure that you have all the required fields complete so you can turn this in. Another filter is only errors. So if I click that, it's gonna take me to my mistake. So expiration date, I made a mistake here. And then also for remarks, you can see on one side, I can be a little more descriptive on one MLS than the other. So I can just delete what I want and be, have one versus the other, and then it'll say where my characters are and hit done. And then once I'm done, then you're gonna see that I am 100% complete, and I can move on to the fun part. So is it as compelling as data entry is? Does anybody have questions before I go to photos? On the listing input section?
Yeah. Since Georgia MLS has, a few extras, when we're just inputting, how does it display on here? I mean, will it say, oh, and here are the Georgia MLS fields?
Like, see right here how it says best MLS and core MLS? Mm-hmm. Pretend that's FMLS and Georgia MLS.
Okay.
So if you fill out something, say Georgia MLS and FMLS both ask for street address, then you only have to write it once and it'll go to both.
Yeah, yeah.
But say Georgia MLS has like one extra field, then that's where that can go. It even works, we spoke a little bit earlier about broker backends. Say you did have Bridge go to your broker backend system, whatever it is, and your broker backend cares about your commission split, but the MLS doesn't. It'll give the right information to the right place.
I think Georgia MLS has a few more features that you can include.
Right.
I believe.
Right, and they'll all be here. Like the way that I like to describe it, anybody have transparencies when they were in high school? Say, okay, cool. So think of all the rules, regulations, roles, everything of your MLS, but Bridge is just a really nice, clean transparency that goes over top. That's smarter technology that lets you have all these photos. But anytime there's a change in the MLS, we have to change. So we always go by the rules and regs of both and the fields. Because FMLS just changed like 3 weeks ago and it drove everybody crazy. But we have to make sure that we also know all those changes and are compliant for you guys. All right. Now this is when you guys really, really like me, photos. So we all know that consumers want as many high-res photos as possible in the biggest size as possible. So they really want to feel what it's like to be in the house before they even contact us in real estate to see it. We also know that real estate software, especially with MLSs, were never created to house unlimited storage for photos. So with Bridge, what we found is that we want to make it easier for you guys. You are allowed to have unlimited photos in the best resolution as possible. You never have to resize again. We will crunch them down, resize for you in the best format that your MLS will take. But as long as you syndicate to Zillow Group sites, so Zillow, Trulia, realestate.com, and you have 100 photos in Bridge, those 100 photos will go directly to Zillow, Trulia, realestate.com, and then the 36 photos will go to FMLS, Georgia MLS, and 40 to the other. Cool, and it's really easy. I'll show you drag and drop. You can also invite photographers. You guys, like I said, you guys are gonna like me after this part. So photos, upper right, have all my data inputted, but now I'm gonna go to listing media. The reason why it says listing media and not just photos is video content is coming very soon. Here I can browse on my computer and grab any of these photos, and we're gonna try my drag and drop skills this morning. It's really hard. Every time I come to Georgia or to Atlanta, I get my nails done, and they're way too long. I can't get my credit card out of my parking meter. I also can't do the drag and drop as well, but I think I'm doing all right today, and it depends on how good that my Wi-Fi is. It's not as great today, but it's still uploaded 61 high-res photos and not a lot of time, right? And then from here, I can say, okay, well, this I'm definitely going to use my computer for, because my drag and drop skills, like I said, you can drag and drop these the way that you want them to show up, because usually you like to have the buyer come in through the front door, and then the foyer, and the dining room, living room, kitchen, before you show a bathroom. Put that in that kind of walking tour, and add any captions that I want to any of the photos. And if there's a photo I just don't like this laundry room, or has anybody taken a photo of a bathroom and caught themselves in the mirror? And then you gotta lose like 10 pounds and get Botox, and you don't want that to show up anywhere, you can click that and just hit archive. And I'll go to my media archive, and I can delete from there if I want to. It's different than .lu. Or say you did have a photographer and they took 5 pictures of the front. You might want to archive the other 4, but if you do a price reduction, you can like unarchive them and make it look fresh, right? That makes a lot of sense to do. Then once I have them in the order that I like, you can see I have 60, or I could have 100, 200, whatever it is, but best MLS or FMLS only is going to allow me 40, the other MLS only 36. And I don't want to just drop off the last 20 photos, because maybe I don't need 5 at the backyard, but I want 1 of the swimming pool because that's a selling feature. I can still keep it in the nice walkthrough, and I can just click through and say, okay, I don't need that many shower photos, etc. And just say do not publish to best MLS or poor MLS, and I'll gray them out. At least they're all still there, and I don't get it chopped off at the end. So the 60 photos or 100 or 200 are going to those consumer sites. Best MLS will get there for 40. Poor MLS, I'll do a similar practice and do the largest amount of photos that I can there as well. And I'll grade them out.
So you click on the particular MLS first, and then
Yep.
and then you do it again for the other.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So that way it grays it out, but they're still there. If I go to my 60, the other great thing is this is unlimited storage, and you guys have these photos forever and ever. So if you did want to do a just listed postcard, go here and you have the high-res photos, and you can just download directly from here versus the crunch down if you're using it from the MLS. All right, and then does anybody use photographers in this? Of course you guys do. So photography is really awesome with this, because if I hit this plus button right here, I can invite my photographer directly to this listing. So my photographer, this is actually our email, chicksthatshoot@gmail.com, because Crystal is the chick that shoots my properties. And when I say, instead of me saying, hey Crystal, go take photos of 123 Main Street, she goes, takes photos, she sends me a zip file, I download, upload, resort, resize. I don't have to do that anymore. She can upload directly here, and she only has access to the listings that I invite her to, and only the media section. So she doesn't have access to my MLS, she can't publish, she can't do any of that information. It's just dropped right here. Your photographer will love you, because they don't have to do that extra work anymore. You might want to renegotiate whatever you're paying them. And also,
So you're saying this is easier for the photographer as well?
Oh yeah, because then Crystal just gets an email. Oh, Megan wants me to 123 Main Street. I push the button. She just uploads. She doesn't have to pay whatever zip file service she's using. And she doesn't have to resize, because a lot of times your photographers will do the resizing for you. You don't have to do it anymore. You can have the high quality images, which is pretty cool. And then when everything's filled out, I can hit publish listing. From here, I have one more chance to make any edits. And maybe I thought it was a 3 full bath, but now that Crystal went and took photos, I noticed it's a 2.5. I can make that change here. And then I hit publish again. I can't publish because I'm over my photo limit. Or I wouldn't be able to publish if I didn't make the change on the expiration date. So you guys can't do anything until you're adhering to the rules and regs of the MLSs. But when you do, you can hit publish. You're gonna see those green little bubbles that you guys have seen throughout the training. You do not have to sit and watch and wait for your listing to publish behind the scenes. It's crunching down the images. It'll go as quickly as you always list properties. And just something to note that Bridge is saving your information every millisecond. So you don't have to worry about filling out 75 fields of the 111 and you get a phone call from a buyer. You don't have to worry about hitting save because it's always saving. It's just going to be in an unfinished status until you're ready to push. All right.
Now, for whatever reason, I have my photographer download the photos straight to Bridge. If I ever wanted to get them, is it easy enough to?
You just go and so if I had all these and I want all these photos, I could just click one, or I could hit select all and hit download. So yeah, it's really easy.
Photos are accepted either as a JPEG or a PNG?
Correct. Yeah, not PDFs, so you would just have to save, because some people like do land listings and stuff like that. Just like save as JPEG and put it there. Alright. I told you I'm going to show you a rejected status. Again, this should not happen very often, but if you do get rejected, it happens to the best of us, so I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot. Now that the listing was actually pushed to the MLS, not only do I have listing info and listing media, I also have an activity section. If I hit activity, it's going to show me date, time stamp, anybody that touched this listing, whether it's myself, the admin, or a photographer right here, and then if you're denied. So I was denied right here for this RETS publication failed ... It's not the prettiest message. It's not from us. We're passing it on from RETS and MLS. Again, takes you longer than 2 minutes. What do? Call Bridge. Because you can also call your MLS and see why, but there's really not a rejected status that we haven't seen, and if we haven't really seen it, we want to see it. So please call us and we can troubleshoot. Or I'm going to just show you a trick. If I went back to listing info, say that RETS error was on status, you can do like a command find or right click and start typing in status, and I'll just highlight it. And this is like not a Megan trick, not a Bridge trick, it's just a computer how you do control find. All right. Again, that shouldn't happen very often, and then I'm just gonna.
Megan,
yeah.
How about when you were back on there, rejected if you went down to your filters?
It's not going to be a filter because rejected statuses kind of come from, it's not like if it was an error that was just like the date, we can catch it. It's something that isn't on a business rule field level. Okay. So that's like if you put your cell phone number in the comments or something like that, we as Bridge can't read that as a computer, I guess. So that's how that's different, and you can't like filter by it. But it will say which field it's on, and I do think that it will be a new feature release in the future of just taking you directly to that field. But that's just what I think, and again, feedback, so it could be even better, because I think that would be awesome if it took you directly to that field. Yeah. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk through is mobile, and it's more of a talk through for you guys, but I'd just like to point it out. We know that we're on the road all the time, and I know you guys use Swift before. Is that what you guys use? Okay, you guys used to have to go into a computer, right, to make any changes in an office and things with Swift. Well, you can do everything on Bridge from your cell phone. Again, only way you can access Bridge is you're going to log in through FMLS or Georgia MLS using your Safari or whatever your web browser is. And I would recommend using not the mobile version, but the full site version, because apps to apps always just kind of sound funny. And that way we validate your credentials and make sure that you can make a change. And then you can change your status. So if I did a open house and I had a buyer come through, like I said, and I want to make it pending right away, so I don't have 5 other agents trying to show it, I could put pending on my phone and it'll just pull up the next 3-4 options that I have, like contingencies, selling agent, closing date. Push it right back out. Or you can even do photos. So today is not the prettiest day in Atlanta right at this moment. So my photos were great on the inside, but it was kind of gray, and it's a beautiful day and I'm driving through the neighborhood and I want to go and just take a new picture. I can take it right from my phone and hit push. And it will update that photo directly from my cell phone as well. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's really awesome. And especially you guys here in Atlanta, you guys are just very unique on a lot of levels. But the one that I would say is the fact that you have 2 MLSs that you have to put this information into makes it really tedious. And this will save you.
Can y'all be quiet?
It'll save 50 to 75% of your time on creating listings. Or 90 if you're using old MLS numbers, right? I'd like to finish with our support just because we do want to hear from you guys. Let us know how it's going. And any questions for me while I'm here?
Does the system generates the FMLS number and the Georgia MLS number automatically?
Yep. So when you create a listing, then all of a sudden, like this one's accepted. See up here, it'll have the MLS number at the top, so then you can see it. And that way you can search by that too.
For the bridges, right now you say it's a free to use. Who actually paid for it?
Keller Williams.
Our office. We're paying something every month so that we all have this.
Okay.
They just want you guys to be the best and most efficient agents
Get
possible.
happy.
Do you foresee in the future the customer support being available on Saturdays at all?
I do. I do see that. I think we're moving definitely towards that. But I also feel like us as an industry, like I said, I'm an agent too, and I can't get a hold of my MLS like on the weekends, right? So it's kind of like we still have to like play off their rules, but I do see that I think we started going till 6 months ago, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., but I continue to see that the support will grow, especially since you guys know Dotloop will end up being, we always say like we aspire to be Dotloop's younger brother, you know, that's how we feel.
So I start working on a listing that I'm not ready to publish yet. You have to save it every time.
You'll have to ever save. It'll
It
just
just
stay in an
automatically
unfinished
saves.
step. Like, so if I was gonna go for a listing,
Docs.
I always wanna make sure, like, me personally, I always want my photos done before I push it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate when I see a new listing and then it's in a, like, no photos.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, if I'm a consumer in this area and I'm looking for something and all of a sudden I get a Zillow alert that there's a new listing, because let's face it, like that's a lot of the consumers, that's where they go to.
Oh,
Then
I want my picture right there.
I want my first impression to that buyer. If I have 100 high-res photos, they're gonna spend more time on my listing than anybody else's, and they're probably gonna contact me. And that is something that I would use in a listing appointment up against another agent, because I am gonna make your property look better than somebody not using Bridge.
So on the photos, if our photographer gave us 100 photos, we
Yep.
can only do 40 to FMLS. All 100 are going to go to FMLS, but if there's like 5 of the bathroom, but we don't want those, is that what
Yeah,
is
so-
it the same clicking method you did as for the
Yep.
FMLSs?
Exactly. So if she took 100 photos, but I'm only allowed 40,
Right.
no, we're just gonna click through and just say, you know, and I'm
Right,
sorry.
but you said the rest go up to
Consumer
Zillow.
sites. Mhm.
But if I don't want those same 5 to go to Zillow, how do I keep those?
Then I would just archive it.
Archive it, okay.
Archive it, and then it'll stay back there. And then in your archive, like your media archive, you can delete from there if you want. And
Is it archived under the property name, or is it every photo you've ever done and you have to search and try to remember what house it was?
no, it's just per listing. Like it's almost like a loop.
Okay. Got
You
it.
know, it's a loop of all the listing.
So it's not an
data.
archive of all your photos, it's just of that
Just for
house.
that listing, yep. And then, but they're still gonna stay there. I would keep them in archive again, unless you like took a really bad picture of yourself and you want to delete.
The ones you click are the ones that go archived.
Yeah, and
Like
then
when
you could
you-
either click them and say archive, or if I went to media archive and I wanted to like unarchive, make photo active, then I could go back to that as well. So, yep.
Now, if I'm working on a listing, I'm not ready to list it. I'm not going to get a listing number until I actually
Until
hit
you
publish,
push. Yep. It'll just stay there, and then that way,
which is great.
like I said, you don't have a listing that you want to get in, but then you have no photos. Like that's just not.
But like if you copy excuse me.
No.
If you, like say you got a condo and you got a copy from a previous system, you had the condo complex.
Yep.
And then you're using, so when you save that, it's not gonna have an FMLS number or whatever.
No, you would just do like new listing by old MLS number,
Yeah,
and then pull through all those details.
okay.
And then once you pull through all those details, make sure you make the change, like instead of 103A, it's 103B, right? And then make that change and then push it back out. But it could stay here. It also is a really nice look. I will say you can do anything on a mobile device to update, but you have to at least initially start the listing on a computer versus a mobile. We did that by purpose because, you know, Georgia, you guys like have really bad texting laws, right? Not that any agent would be driving down the street filling out 111 fields, but we all know one. So we want you to at least create it, and then you can make any updates to it. And that way it's going to be able to pull through some of those data fields.
Before you leave, I thought I had set up for Georgia. It didn't give me an option to put Georgia MLS photos. It just says FMLS, so evidently I've done something wrong.
I'll just make sure your connection's right.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll-
And like I said, I'm here.
Okay.
My kids
I'll
are
let you-
shopping across, they're on spring break, they're at the mall right now, they're fine.
Okay, so currently, we also have our listings go to KWLS, I think from FMLS, right? So now how will that be picked up? Will it-
Your syndication, again, like the thing that I will like reiterate because you'll start getting more questions like this. We are just a transparency on top of what is already happening. So whatever you decide to syndicate, whatever your syndication rules are, which through Keller Williams, I think it's List Hub that you guys pull through from FMLS and then distribute all the ways, it's still going to distribute the same way. Same thing as like in Cincinnati, it drives me crazy, but like the largest broker there, Sipsey Klein, does not allow anything to go to Zillow because Zillow's the devil and things like that. So they would not ever have all the high-res unlimited photos go there. It's always based on the rules of the MLS and the brokerage and the syndication. So
Well, just that we don't currently do anything to make it go to KWLS.
you don't have to do anything else.
Wondering how that would actually work.
Yep, it still is just the
It'll
clean
still work.
transparency is still gonna do all the rules that have ever happen. It's just hopefully it's gonna save you time and make you look better.
If you grab an old listing number, will it put photos onto?
Nope, that was kind of the big reason, one of the big reasons that it doesn't pull through photos. Yes, we don't wanna get you like in that situation. That happens.
Do you have a video tutorial for this?
Yeah, so everything that I went over today, if you go to Bridge, like hit support, you're gonna see training videos. And I will warn you, I'm updating all of these right now. I've just been really busy. My first, I think I did 115 trainings in 4 months, on-site trainings in my first 4 months. So don't judge me because these were done like my first 2 weeks at Bridge and I'm way better at training now. But they are getting swapped out. But you can watch these. And then starting April 10th, we have webinars every Wednesday. Any other questions? Do you guys like it? Think it's going to save you time? Are you guys happy that your broker got you this awesome tool? All right, well, if anybody has questions or problems connecting, yep.
We have Virtuance is a preferred photography vendor.
Yep.
And I just wondered if y'all had any interaction with them.
I haven't personally. I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with like outside vendors. Just you can invite that person or that email all the time. Because I forget what the company is in Raleigh that they always use one photography company and they do it. But it's nice because if that's your company, they even have their own dashboard of all the listings that you invited them to. So it's going to look just the same, but just with what you invited to them. So if you don't invite them to like a land listing because nobody needs to take pictures of grass, or if you like really you cheated on them once and you don't want them to know that another photographer did the job, they won't see that. They only see what you're invited to. Yeah.
Do you have an ETA on when the other media sources will be available?
Which media sources?
Drones or videos?
I know it's very, very soon because I don't ever try to put a timeline on dev. I wish I could. It would be awesome. But it's probably the top 2-ish, 3-ish on the product roadmap. That and talking to .loop, or I can't wait for the day. I can't wait.
I was going to ask you that question.
Yeah, so the reason why I do everything that I do and why I like am passionate about what I do is like I'm going to do an imagination. Imagine a world where when we create a listing, as much information goes to the MLS as the documents, as small as the sign guy. So I don't have to redo it. And then I go active depending and the right information goes to my title rep. That I already have it. Maybe I have to answer one more question, right? Or then it goes from pending to sold and it goes a 10-year follow-up action plan drip campaign to my CRM. That's the world that we will live in. That'll happen before.
She's talking Keller Williams.
I know. I love you guys. I can't wait to see your product.
It'll happen in our world.
It will definitely happen. It's already available. It already APIs to other, so we already can talk to an accounting backend and pull data and stuff like that. But I just want a world where we as real estate professionals are in front of the consumer, not doing data entry or paperwork. You know, that's not our strong suit because there's technology out there. You need to leverage that, but you're never going to get away from somebody needing that human-to-human experience when buying and selling a home.
Maybe I missed this, but you said videos. Are you saying you can't do virtual tours yet?
No, there's the same field that you would use on the MLS that'll say put your virtual tour.
So what do you mean by videos? Just like
so like video, like if you wanted to put the drone video there, you wouldn't have to take it to a side source, crunch it down into a link. So if I'm a consumer, if I see a property, I don't want to like click 15 different things and like tab down my Chrome. Like I'd rather see everything in one spot. It's just what the consumer wants, so that's why it's coming out. Yep. And then you don't have to pay. And then you don't have to pay another vendor, right? So that'll all just be right there.
Okay, y'all. Diane has been working on this for practically a year to bring this to our office.
Really?
And so all credit goes to her. She knew it was cool.
Well, I take back everything.
Well, I hope you guys think it's so cool, and like I said, we're here to support you guys any way that we can, so please let us know if there's anything that we can do for you.
So I would encourage everybody to talk to your fellow agents in the office and help them, because everybody, you know, that initial linking FMLS and Georgia MLS, hopefully everybody here's done it now, so you can help somebody. Because the sooner everybody is using it, I mean, it's just faster. Yeah. It's faster and better.
Yep.
You may have answered this question, but you know how you put little comments of each picture?
So if I was in my listing media section, let me go to one.
I'm sure you answered that.
No, it's fine. Like I said, if you've got me live in person, you better ask all the questions you can. So listing, like if I went to any of these photos right underneath, I can just type it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And like I said, the other thing, I'm happy to answer while I'm here, but you're gonna have thoughts afterwards, right? Go watch those videos and then tell me how dorky I was my first 2 weeks.
Edit photos?
You can't, it's not an editing software for a photo editing. It would be cool, but you're going to still use whatever editing software that you're using right now and then have them there. But I've heard email feature request. I like like it too. Yep.
I tried to do the listing and I only have FMLS, but I don't have the GMLS. How
Go
do
to your
I do it?
connections first.
Yeah, I'm in the same
Okay,
spot.
well, I think this is the same thing that John had.
And I got him
He's
up, I think,
connected, but within the listing, he's not seeing both an FMLS and a Georgia MLS.
in the photo part.
In the
Under
photo
the photo things, it just shows.
No, forget about John. Answer her question
Exactly.
first.
Don't worry about
No,
it. We can go on.
we're gonna troubleshoot because, like, if it takes me longer than 2 minutes, I chat. My support team is always on chat with me, and they just pull up your profile and be like, "Bloop, done." So I will troubleshoot with anybody that has individual things, make sure it gets connected.
And I'll actually give a little aha for that
I don't know,
because
there's
I had a
nothing there.
little issue last week because I've got broker privileges on all you guys,
There's
so
nothing there
I
to
see
do.
all your listings coming up in Bridge Interactive. But what I'm getting at is like, where are all my people? And then an hour later, oh, here they are. So it was actually quick.
Yeah, they're an awesome team. Like, really fortunate to have that type of, I mean,
Connect.
you guys know .loop. It's like, we try to make our clients happy and make the product better and better and better for you guys.
Thank you.
I need your help.
Yep, got you.
It's because we were sitting next to one another.
Every time.
But now, if you,
Too bad.